You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why so many people are making the switch to Mint Mobile.
Say hasta la vista to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium service from Mint Mobile for $15. Amy, didn't you say that your sister is on Mint Mobile and loves it?
Yes, it was the best option for her when she finally got her own mobile wireless plan.
Honestly, I think that it might be the best option for anyone who needs their own mobile wireless plan. It sounds amazing.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/booktalk. That's mintmobile.com/BOOKTALK.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and Auto Camp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Hey there, we're BookTok for BookTok with Jac and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
We embrace and respect modern fantasy, romance, and romantasy books written by women. And so it's in our nature to analyze these books as we would any other novel we might have dissected in school.
With our combined 13 years of literary academic training, we use our education to analyze and give voice to reasons why you may love or hate today's popular books. This is Jac.
And I'm Amy. And this is part 2 of this week's episode, where we're discussing chapters 6 through 11 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight.
Before we dive in, don't forget Spilt. Spoilers, perspective, interpretation, language, and themes.
If you'd like more information, please go back and listen to the start of part 1 of this week's episode. All right, chapter 8. We are now in chapter 8, and Celaena and Chaol are stationed to watch a state dinner at the palace. When Celaena enters the Great Hall, quote, "It took all of Celaena's self-control to keep from sprinting to the long table in the center of the room and horking...
and horking? She's horking the food down now.
And horking down the food right off the plates of the gathered councilmen and preening nobilities. Now, if we recall in last week's episode, Celaena considers herself of higher rank than most everybody in this castle. So this is, in my mind, a food is power moment. It is not just about gluttony, because Celaena loves food. Celaena wants to demonstrate her power. We know she wants to kill people in this room. She blames them all for the loss of Terrasen, but she's the king's champion. So what does she have to do? She has to fall in line, convince everyone she's a servant of the king, and just kind of stand in a corner. I pity her.
I pity her too. And Celaena, like you said, she's in the corner. She's watching everyone. Quote, "Men who had bled other kingdoms dry to pay for the clothes and jewels and gold in this room. Not that she was much better in some regards." All right, red flag. Red flag alert. I want all listeners, before I start making points later when they're like, "Jac, you're a horrible human being, you're wrong." I just would like to flag that this is showing how much she does not like herself. Mm-hmm. And remember before she was saying, that no one liked her. So she's comparing herself to these men who bled kingdoms dry. She's not like them at all. She is not, but she is very depressed. She is very in her head. She does not like herself. A lot of these feelings are carried over pre-Sam. Because remember, she said Archer was one of the few that liked me. That is a sentiment she had pre-Sam dying. Celaena tells Cale that no one would attack the king because she's like, do I have to be here? And he was like, no, you gotta fucking be here. That's like someone's gonna attack the king. And she's like, really? Because, quote, no one would be so suicidal as to attack the king and his court at such a public event. She tried to explain that, but Cale had just glared at her and told her not to cause trouble, as if she'd be that suicidal. Again, this is, I think, a deeper clue to how she really feels because she is going after him. Yes, it's not in this public event, in this public function, but everything she's doing is against him. I mean, whether if it's not against him or not following his orders, she is acting suicidal. She is acting in a way that could very easily kill her. One of my notes here is Elena's task kind of forcing her to lean into that suicidal tendency, which I think it kind of is. You know, like you can't be willing to do something if you're not willing to sacrifice yourself. Hello, Nehemia. I could argue that was a suicide. Actually, not even argue. It was.
It was both homicide and suicide. It was intentional. There's different connotations when you use suicidal versus sacrificial.
Yeah. There
is this saintliness around the idea of being a sacrifice, right? That you're doing it for the greater good. You've got the moral correct reasons. So yes, I think that right now we are seeing Celaena's viewpoint on this. She thinks it's dumb. She thinks it's suicidal. That will change, right?
Yeah.
Doing Elena's tasks, searching for the keys, etc., will later become her goal and her sacrifice. She will become the sacrifice because she has changed her viewpoint on the necessity of it.
At this point, I think it's fair to say that it's under the suicidal camp and it will change to that sacrificial camp.
Yeah. Just a side note, Celaena begins thinking again how much she doesn't like Roland. Her gut is telling her that he's a terrible person, that Dorian shouldn't hang out with his cousin, Roland. I don't know why it took me so long to realize that she describes his eyes as emerald and Dorian's are sapphire. Gems. Huh. Yeah. Maybe because they're nobility. Anyway, I just had to point that out.
Good point. There's a lot going on between Dorian and Celaena. They're not even talking yet. They're just looking back and forth at one another. And she thinks, quote, no matter what she felt for him, Dorian would rule. And maybe his father would someday reveal his power and force Dorian to make a choice about what sort of ruler he wanted to become. But she was in no hurry to have Dorian make that choice. Not yet. When he did, she could only pray that he would be a better king than his father. This feels very Elena of Celaena, of her kind of being like, this is your fate, and one day this is going to happen, and you are to be prepared for your destiny in this time. So I think that you can really see that as one ruler who's going through that right now to another ruler.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lack of awareness of how the situations are similar.
Yeah.
But we can see how there are parallels between Dorian and Celaena, which Jac will get into later. We do switch to Dorian's point of view during this dinner, and he's thinking about Roland. And I wanted to point this out because there's this really complex dynamic that we have seen in our own history that we're seeing play out here. Quote, it seemed that Roland's mother had come with him to find the young lord a bride, a girl with land and money that would add to Maya's importance. So we are in a patriarchal society, and it is only through the ownership of a woman that men can increase their power.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Like, you still need a woman to become powerful.
And that's why this is my deep dive into heteronormative thinking. That is why the marriage thing has been pushed so long onto women, marriage to a man, because that is the only way men can gain power.
Yeah. I mean, that's why birth rates, marriage rates, everything has gone down, because for the first time, women don't need to get married. They would want to get married. And that means men have to make it so that they would want to marry them.
Right.
It's not because you can't function without me. And
yeah,
I mean, it wasn't until the 70s,
yeah,
60s where women could get their own credit card.
Yeah. And
in the United States.
In the United States. Yeah. I think it was the 70s. And they couldn't own their own property until recent, like the last 50 years as well. You always had to have your man or your husband or your father on these things.
And now you have for the first time like women being able to do things. So a lot of men don't know what to do with that. And it's just like, I had a conversation with a guy randomly, and one of the things we were like going back and forth on like romance and the romantasy genre. And he was like, well, I heard that a lot of these romance genres are kind of taking women, degressing them essentially into desires of like a man, you know, kind of taking like some of the like darker romance, the mafias, which is true. Like I will say like they end in happily ever after in marriage.
Yeah.
And then a lot of these ones are like, you're my woman, you're mine, and I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like that is absolutely it. And he goes, well, don't you feel like that's a problem? That like, don't you think that's regressive for women? And isn't that going to hurt men? And I said to him, I said it much better in the moment. And I said, you think that women regressing into a system that men set up in the patriarchy is hurtful for men when men just want to be of use? And that's something that men set up? Did that make sense? Like,
yeah, no, it does. I remember that moment.
Yeah, because you were a few rows listening.
I was listening.
But it was just one of those moments of like, no, sorry, feminist rant. All right, I'm done now.
But also, it's not about the men. It's about the women.
I mean, and that's what I told him. I was like, women just want to be heard and seen. That's it.
Yeah. Anyway, so if this is society, what does this say about Chaol and his relationship with Celaena? Now, ultimately, Chaol does not necessarily want to own Celaena. I would not put that on him. He does think about marriage and children. She does too, because that's what society tells them. The outcome ends up being the same anyway. Celaena signs her entire wealth and everything she owns over to Chaol.
Oh my God.
And leaves it after Nehemia's death.
I'm done.
All I'm saying is that Chaol can be a good person. It still worked out in his favor.
I hate this.
That is patriarchal society for you.
I hate this. I hate it because I also don't know what if SJM knew what she was doing with it. Because if she did know what she was doing with it, how beautifully done like would that have been?
Yeah, I think the reasons are noble. And I think they were intentionally supposed to rip at our heartstrings, which we'll get to when we actually get to that chapter.
But it didn't go into this deeper meaning of women being owned constantly and men getting on top. Amy and I watched this documentary last night about the Titan submersible. It was done very beautifully. It was done very poetically. And one of my favorite things that we noticed was that every professional that they interviewed and this is why they fucked up, were women.
All the Coast Guard investigators, other than like the head investigator.
But like the ones that they talked to of like, tell us what was wrong. It was always the women.
It was the women.
This, the main guy, he was notorious for firing the women who he didn't want to listen to. So it was just beautifully done. So that was not what SJM was doing in this moment.
No. There's a moment during dinner where Dorian sees Celaena and realizes she is looking at Chaol. And it's not just that she's looking at Chaol. She's looking with longing. Quote, Dorian's temper flared so fast that he found himself struggling for control, especially as she looked away again and her focus returned to the captain. In this moment, Dorian reacts the way Chaol did towards Archer. The difference, Chaol was angry at Archer. Dorian is angry at Celaena.
He's misplacing his anger.
He's got a little bit of misogyny in him that he's got to work through.
Yep.
He's just mad that he didn't get his way.
Which is exactly what Celaena's going to tell him. I wanted to point out the difference between Chaol and Dorian. Yeah.
We already know why Chaol is better than Dorian, but I think it's important because so many listeners are going to come into this season with a vengeance and hate for Chaol that we have to acknowledge where Chaol is actually good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not entirely sold that he fucked up too hard in this, so yeah, we'll continue. Dorian and Celaena continue to be a parallel for one another. Just as Elena pushes Celaena into her destiny, eventually so will Gavin with Dorian. But right now, Dorian steps into his own destiny. Quote, he was the crown prince of the largest empire in the world. His entire existence was bound to the crown and the glass throne that would someday be his. She'd ended things because of that crown and throne, because she wanted a freedom he could never give her. I wish we'd walked away from a larger, yes, that is correct, but not be so bitter. But when I say it's a parallel, I mean that there's a lot that Celaena also knows that someone who would want her, and she was with them, would be tied and bound to her as well. Dorian and Celaena get into a fight, and he accuses her of using him to become champion, which is kind of like, okay, fucking sure, whatever, you dickwad. And she responds, quote, she actually snarled at him. Well, let me tell you what I think, Dorian. I think you're used to getting what you want, who you want. And just because you couldn't get who you wanted this time, at this point, her fayness is starting to come out. This, she snarled at him. We're going to get a lot more. I think there was a couple more that I ended up not grabbing at this point, but it's growling, snarling, a lot more animalistic fae. But she's forcing him to grow up, kind of like how she's been forced to grow up.
Yeah, shit kind of rolls downhill. She's like, I don't like fate.
Yeah.
You don't like the way things turned out either. Suck it up.
Yeah.
In this moment, Dorian has to, quote, put his temper on a tight leash. What do we think of when we think of leashes? We think of animals. Dorian is not in control. He is becoming the dog in this relationship. He is the one being leashed. Celaena calls out this lack of power, this fact that he is owned rather than in ownership of himself. Quote, don't expect me to care when you find yourself nothing more than a puppet if you aren't one already. That hurts. But he knows it. He's known it since the end of Throne of Glass, but he's still not done anything about it. And Celaena's like, if you're not going to help yourself, I can't help you.
No. When you said, what do we think about leashes?
BDSM.
Yeah. Celaena goes to visit Kaltain, and I want to emphasize that I'm about to go in really hard on Celaena, but that's because I think Celaena changes by the end of the scene with Kaltain. Celaena goes with the mentality at this point to Kaltain after feeling very at odds with Dorian and feeling like she can't control things. She's not in charge of her own fate. Like, a lot of things are happening here. She's not in charge of her own fate. She got into an argument with Dorian. Things are just not panning out. She's has to figure out what to do with Archer. So what does she do under the guise of, well, I need to see if this cousin is safe or not? She goes down to visit Kaltain, which we already know that the cousin isn't safe. She could just ask Dorian for more information on him. But she needs to go exercise control and dominance over someone at this point. And again, this is the end of chapter 8 and going into chapter 9. So at the end of chapter 8, let's establish how Celaena remembers events of the last book. Quote, so she missed the moment where Kaltain had accidentally confessed to poisoning her, claiming to have been manipulated by her former beau, Duke Parrington. The Duke had denied her accusations, and Kaltain had been sent down here to await her punishment. If we can say that Dorian needs to be smarter, we can say Celaena needs to be smarter. And she's proven better logic at this point. She has proven being able to think a little bit more. She's grown quite a bit from the first book. And this is a moment where it's like, okay, we need to put your big girl hat brain on and understand logic here. Now we're in chapter 9, and like we were saying, Celaena's with Kaltain, and she feels very vindicated. Quote, a bucket for relieving herself, a bucket of water, the crumbs of her last meal, and moldy hay that formed a rough pellet. That was all Kaltain had been given, all she deserves. That's such a harsh, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say no one deserves that, because I have a special place of hell in my heart for men who hurt women and children. So, they deserve rotting hay. It just feels very, again, there's asserting a power. The fact that she comes in and is like, you get a bucket of water and a bucket to relieve yourself and moldy hay, and she looks at her and says, good. That's not the Celaena we know. That is not a compassionate individual. Later on, and I'm kind of bringing this quote from a little earlier to here, Celaena will also think, quote, that she should walk out of the dungeons smiling because for once the right person was locked away. And that is not true.
Right. Irony.
It's so ironic. And I know a lot of it is her feeling not justified for being locked away, for being, a slave for a year, of feeling like the king's not locked away and the wrong people are just not locked away. But here we are, a woman who is falsely imprisoned, and Celaena has no sympathy for her. And this feels like a lot of lashing out. Understandably, I get it.
It's a complicated situation, right? Because Celaena doesn't know Parrington's manipulation of Celaena. She doesn't know the magic that's involved necessarily with Celaena, with Parrington. And so she doesn't realize Celaena is also a victim of men. I don't think it would be hard to question the stories about Celaena, but Celaena is allowing her previous prejudice against Celaena to color her viewpoint of Celaena in this moment.
Her previous prejudice and her present isolation.
Yeah,
like her present situation of feeling like she's not in control of anything.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it does become clear to Celaena that maybe Celaena doesn't deserve to be there. And I think that one of the biggest moments in this scene is Celaena understanding that she's not better than any of the men. Again, she just was busy comparing herself to some of the horrible men at the party. And so this is Celaena talking to Celaena, quote, "How about I walk inside that cell and find another way to get you to talk? Don't," she whispered, shifting enough so that Celaena could see the bruises circling her wrists. They looked unnervingly like handprints. This poor girl has been beaten, and frankly, probably worse. We can assume much worse violence has been put upon Celaena. And Celaena was just now threatening her with violence as well. She is no better than any of the men than Parrington to threaten this girl.
Yep, which is awful. It's in reaction to Celaena trying to wield the very minimal tools that she has for survival right now, which is, I'm too busy, come back another time. Like, really, Celaena, you need to be violent against someone who is joking?
Right.
Celaena is really this pathetic, sad character, and we should be appalled with how violently Celaena is reacting to her.
Yeah. And I think that I forgot to mention this, but the very first thing that Celaena says to her is, "Hello, Celaena." And Celaena had never used her quote unquote real name in the last book because she thought that Celaena was Lady Lillian. And there's a stripping of masks here, right?
Yeah.
Celaena shows up and Celaena strips away the mask of Lady Lillian and is like, okay, we're going to be on this open playing field here.
Well, and we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
Right? This is the first woman who is being honest with Celaena.
Oh, that hurt me. I'm going to adjust. That hurt me. That hurt me bad. She is the only woman in this book who is honest to Celaena.
Baba Yellowlegs?
This isn't great. This is not great. We get this now famous moment when Celaena gives Celaena her cloak. Quote, "Not giving herself the time to reconsider, Celaena unfastened her black cloak. She threw it through the bars, aiming carefully to avoid the long-dried vomit that was caked onto the stones. She'd also heard about the girl's opium addiction. Being locked away without a fix had to have driven her close to insanity if she wasn't mad to begin with." Now, this is a moment that when we first posted Justice for Celaena in season 1, a lot of people came back and was like, Celaena was incredible to her. She gave her the cloak off her own back. Let's,
one time,
like she gave, like, and that meant a lot. And that's why Celaena was willing to, change the tides of everything later on because of the cloak, because of Celaena's kindness. To which I want to say, Celaena has one moment of almost resisting kindness. And it is a kindness that she, in a scene that is filled with a lot of unkindness from her.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very begrudgingly done.
Yes. It's good. It's the path. It's the right path, right? Like, this is a sign that Celaena is on the right path. But to say that Celaena is some kind of like kind-hearted individual in this moment.
Yeah, she's not a saint.
She's not a saint with Celaena. She does not want to be there. It's just the reality of, oh shit, I'm threatening her with violence like these men. Oh shit, no one liked me and I'm just as bad as these other people. There's a lot of other things that are making her be here and come to this realization. But this beautiful symbol comes from not just a dark place from Kaltain, but a very dark place from Celaena as well. And then, you know, the whole idea of clothing being armor, like you have literally her cloaking her, which is like Celaena giving Kaltain her own armor, and what the cloak and this armor ends up meaning to Kaltain.
Yeah, I mean, it does become a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
But not for 3 more books.
Yeah. I mean,
this is not a beautiful moment.
Here, let's just make this clear. And I'm going to try to do this with as little spoilers. When this comes back, because if you have not read this moment does come back. Kaltain is going to have a lovely, heartbreaking speech about what this moment meant to her. And in that moment, and upon reflection, it will have meant something very beautiful and deep. That is not what is happening in this moment. And I don't think that takes away from the ultimate meaning. I think it adds to it and enhances to that, because it also puts into shape and into understanding of how shitty Kaltain's world is about to become. That this is a moment of kindness that she's going to hold on to. This Celaena threatening violence, begrudgingly throwing her cloak, hoping to not get vomit on it, is, you were so kind. This is what got me through everything. That's it. Yeah. She went through a lot then.
Yeah. I mean, yes, she does go through a lot. And what becomes beautiful in hindsight is the idea of treating others with kindness when you even when you don't want to, or even when you're not predisposed to. Nonetheless, the intent was not noble.
No.
Celaena's trying to save her own soul right now. She's not trying to save Kaltain.
Yeah, Celaena feels so shitty about herself that this is a moment of like, well, maybe this is something that I can do. Like, Celaena is a good person in her heart and will become a beautiful soul. Like, but this is just one of those moments that we're seeing that character development, and we have to call it out for what it is.
Yep.
Nehemia and Celaena have breakfast in bed, and this is the next day because it's snowing, and she's like, do you want to come have breakfast in bed? And Nehemia is busy trying to inspire Celaena. Celaena's like, I'm having bacon. Meanwhile, Nehemia was like, great, have bacon. Also, quote, before Terrasen fell, its royal court was the one that set the example. My father used to tell me stories of Terrasen's court, of the unrivaled power and bravery and loyalty of this court. That was why the king of Adarlan targeted Terrasen first, because it was the strongest, and because if Terrasen had been given the chance to rise an army against him, Adarlan would have been annihilated. My father still says if Terrasen were to rise again, it might stand a chance. It would be a genuine threat to Adarlan. Then Celaena looks to the hearth and says, quote, I know. This is Nehemia trying to inspire Celaena. This is Nehemia trying to be like, hey, remember all your dead family?
Yeah.
Do you remember how great your dead family was? Do you remember how they were so inspiring that my father still talks about your dead family? It's not inspiring. It's not awe-worthy.
It's almost malicious when Nehemia knows who Celaena is and is saying this, and Celaena doesn't know Nehemia knows who Celaena is. It's just not cool.
No, and the fact that Nehemia has to die because Celaena wasn't able to pick up these clues. These aren't clues. This is grief. This is trauma that's being brought up. This isn't inspiration. And then the fact that Nehemia then has to die, feel like she has to die or is told she has to die because, this wasn't the right way. I just feel like you should have A, B, and C options before.
Yeah, or like, tell the truth. I know who you really are. You could raise an army. You could inspire people.
You did it in 3 seconds. I feel inspired.
What I like about this moment, specifically when Celaena looks towards the hearth, is a symbol of home in a lot of mythology. A lot of gods are god of hearth and home when it's associated with the hearth. And so for me, Celaena's symbolically looking into the past. Like she is looking back at Terrasen, and she is fully aware of what the court used to be like. And I thought it was just a nice
That's beautiful.
symbolic clue that SJM is leaving for us. I just realized sorry, ignore me.
What are you doing?
It's a cap to my cat's laser pointer that I've been wearing like a thimble.
This whole time.
Off and on. Take a sip.
Take a sip.
We now enter chapter 10, and it starts with Dorian and Cale going through the kennels to enter the castle, mostly because they're trying to avoid Dorian's brother, Holland, who's been pulled from school, is back in the castle, and he is a little terror. Now, Dorian and Cale, yes, they spend time in the kennels because Dorian loves dogs, but they're also kind of cowering like dogs when they're avoiding a 10-year-old. Also, the little tidbit that Holland doesn't like animals, to me, equates to the epitome of evil. Holland is evil. He's like a serial killer.
Right. It's like he doesn't like animals, and he starts fires, and he pees in the bed.
Yeah.
It's like the triangle that
of serial killer
which I think
criteria.
I think it's been mostly disproven, but none of this are good signs.
Not good. And how bad is Holland? He is bad. Quote, it was hard to
Whoa.
Whoa.
He's bad.
He is bad. There's this moment that looks back on the past about Holland and Queen Georgina, and it's very telling about these two characters that I thought was done really well by SJM and is worth reading. Quote, it was hard to not remember the last gift Georgina had bought her younger son, 4 white ponies with a tiny golden carriage for Holland to drive about himself. He'd trampled half of the Queen's favorite garden.
It's a lot of info in a short amount of time.
2 sentences.
Yeah.
We learned the Queen is out of touch. She is trying to buy her son's love. And then Holland, who she loves, turns around and uses those gifts to destroy the other things that she loves. Mm-hmm. It's very illuminating. You get the sense of both of these characters really, really fast.
It's good.
It's chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. We get some men time, some bro time. Just 2 guys, just 2 bros walking along, checking out the dogs. And we've talked before about how SJM needs to convince us that they're actually friends rather than 2 guys who've been in the castle for a long time. Mm-hmm. Quote, even as the captain spoke, Dorian could see him scanning, as he always did, for any sign of danger, any threat. After so many years, Dorian was used to it, but it still rankled his pride a little. Again, are they friends, or are they 2 young men who've been surrounded by each other for their entire lives, and now there's a dynamic that neither are willing to push or change? Or could they change,
Yeah.
And both Cale and Celaena are the protector / warrior that Dorian wants to be. But does he not? I would even argue Dorian doesn't want to be the protector or the warrior. He just doesn't like that they are. He
doesn't like ultimately that they have more power than he does.
Mm-hmm. But we do get some clues that there is true bro love between these 2 friends. Quote, Dorian could have gleefully killed Cale's father for disowning him, refusing even to see Cale. Now, this is a protectiveness I had not seen from Dorian to Cale. I mean, we've seen a little bit of protectiveness over Celaena, but nothing like Cale. And I really don't remember Dorian ever really saying anything about wanting to kill someone. Mm-hmm. So his protectiveness over Cale, I'm like, I'm seeing a side of you I've never seen before, Dorian. Good job.
Yeah. And that he still thinks of, despite him being jealous of Celaena and Cale.
Yeah.
This is also, from a writing perspective, a great little tidbit to get from Dorian's point of view. It seems benign. It gives us context for Cale's history, but it also gives us context for why it's so weird for Cale when his father visits later in the book.
Absolutely. It's a nice little breadcrumb for later. I think that Cale, though, is misunderstood. He's constantly misunderstood, in my opinion. And it's very easy, I think, for others to project their feelings and insecurities onto Cale, mostly because I think Cale's a rather simple man. Quote, I don't think you need to be worried about Archer stealing her away, especially if he's going to be dead by the end of the month. It came out sharper and colder than he intended. Cale cut him a glance. You think that's what I'm worried about? Yes, and it's obvious to everyone except you 2. Is Cale jealous of Archer? Yes, we've established that he's jealous of Archer.
Right.
We've also established that Cale gets very worried for Celaena, and that Cale paces without her and that he hates that she's on missions and he's not there to help her. I feel like that's where he, like when he says, that's what you think I'm upset over. It's like, no, it's not that. It's that she's going to a dinner with a man she's supposed to kill.
Right.
That's dangerous.
Right.
So it's just another moment of like, yes, he's a jealous guy, but people love to project their own feelings onto Cale.
He has a blank canvas. And you know what? He is not wrong, right? Celaena thinks he's overbearing. We'll talk about that a little bit later towards the end of the episode. She's not infallible. She's not invincible. Like, she's going to fuck up real soon.
Yeah.
And so Cale has a right to be worried. No one takes him seriously, though.
Yeah.
Now, like Celaena, Dorian, quote, didn't want to have this conversation with Cale, and Cale sure as hell didn't want to have this conversation with him. I point this out because, like Celaena, again, these two are parallels to each other. Dorian is trying to avoid the hard things and looking the truth in the eye. He, Celaena, and sometimes even Cale himself are a bunch of avoidant teens and young adults. I just lectured my sister yesterday for venting about someone, and I'm like, why can't you just go ahead and have a conversation with them?
Yeah.
Like, why are you venting to me? Just go talk to them. If you haven't talked to them and you've had the same feelings for the past 6 months, it's not my fault.
I love it. I love sisterly advice. Shout out. She won't be editing. She doesn't edit for us anymore.
She's been really busy with work. Yes.
Yeah.
Even Aelin would pause to catch her breath. We'll be right back.
A fun fact about me is that Spanish was my first language, but I actually lost almost all of it growing up and into adulthood. And it has been my goal the last year to learn Spanish again. My tutor said, hey, you need to do some learning on your off time because you're not going to suddenly learn Spanish once a week with me. And I've been using Babbel in between my tutoring lessons. And I have to say, Maria Jose is very impressed.
That's because with Babbel, you can start speaking a new language or a forgotten language with confidence thanks to its conversation-based techniques that quickly teaches you useful words and phrases.
There's over a dozen languages available to learn at your own pace so that you can achieve your goals with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I love Babbel because it's been handcrafted by over 200 language experts. Babbel's languages are voiced by real native speakers and built with science-backed cognitive tools like spaced repetition and interactive features to fit any learning style. I cannot emphasize how important it is to actually hear a real person speak the language you're trying to learn.
Staying motivated to learn a new language has never been easier thanks to real-time feedback, progress trackers, and handy visualizations in only 10 to 15 minutes a day on Babbel's mobile app or website.
With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee. So get talking with Babbel.
We want you to learn another language, so we're teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/booktalk.
Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/booktalk, spelled BABBEL.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK.
Babbel.com/booktalk.
Rules and restrictions may apply.
Click instantly to book an appointment because Jack needs instant gratification.
If I can't get the appointment the next day, I won't go because I get too scared in my mind. But I don't have to worry about doctors being in network or anything because they have more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty from mental health to dental health, primary care, urgent care, and you can filter to see which doctors take your insurance.
The filters also let you look at who's nearby, who's a good fit for the medical needs you have, and if they're highly rated by verified patients.
Once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings and choose a time slot that works for you, like 9 a.m. the next day. And appointments are made through ZocDoc, so it happens so fast, usually just 24 hours to 72 hours of booking.
You can even score same-day appointments, which I know sometimes there's a need.
So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/booktalk to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK. ZocDoc.com/booktalk.
Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
So now we're hopping over to Celaena, and Celaena is getting ready to see Archer, and she's going to put on her armor, some good old-fashioned hardcore armor. Quote, Celaena knew the scarlet dress was a little scandalous, and she knew that it was definitely not appropriate for winter, given how low the front dipped and how much lower the back went. Celaena is not just embracing the weapon of femininity, but sex as a weapon. And she even says at this point that the dress is not only scandalous, but it's meant to push the boundaries, which is something that Archer likes. So he likes his women being a little daring, a little, different, setting the trend. So everything is for him, as it should be. She's there to try to fake kill him. And before it was about her girlishness, her underneath her lashes, and now it's about sex and doubling down as sex being a weapon. And to really emphasize that this is meant to be a weapon, she tells Kale, quote, yes, Kale, I have weapons, and I'm wearing this dress because I want Archer to ask the same thing, to think I don't have any on me. This is going to be a new thing for her, right? She's, she's never had sex and she's kind of fronting about it, but she's also using sex as an advantage of hiding the true weapons.
Yeah.
Celaena is not only weaponizing sex against Asher, she's weaponizing against Kale too.
Archer.
Oh, Archer. Why am I saying Asher? I don't know.
I mean, you wrote Asher.
Oh, that's why I said Asher.
There you go.
I did a lot of voice to text. Celaena is not only weaponizing sex against Archer, she's weaponizing it against Kale. She tells him, quote, I'll see you tomorrow. He stiffened as if he'd been struck, his teeth flashing. What do you mean tomorrow? Again, that stupid bright anger took over, and she gave him a slow smile. You're a smart boy, she said, stalking down the steps to the carriage. Figure it out yourself. It's funny because she gets annoyed because Kale's like, you can't wear that dress.
Yeah.
Why are you going alone? Stop it. And so therefore she's like, I'm going to do the death blow and pretend like I'm going to go have sex with him. But it's also could just be warm up.
Yeah. Well, I think Celaena is pushing back against men trying to own her. And so for Kale to not compliment her for being beautiful when he first sees her, for him to say, you're not wearing that, is such an ownership thing.
Yeah.
She perceives Kale as trying to control her. And so therefore, fuck you, Kale. Maybe I am going to go have sex. What I also love about some of the weapons that Celaena has is there are some that Philippa provided to her. Quote, there were indeed knives strapped to her legs, and the pins sweeping her hair into a curling cascade down one shoulder were long and razor sharp, commissioned to her delight by Philippa, so she didn't need to go traipsing around with cold metal jammed between your breasts. Weapons have become like jewelry and hair baubles. They are accessories for beauty. They are accessories for the feminine. What I love about Philippa being the one here providing this to Celaena, Philippa has always been like, you can't wear that. Be more feminine. Wear prettier dresses. Wear your makeup, right? But unlike others around her, Philippa is also adapting to Celaena. She's meeting Celaena where she's at, saying, okay, you need weapons. I got you. But stop putting knives between your boobs. It's just not safe.
It's not. It's not. The first scene between Archer and Celaena has a lot going on. They are going head to head, and first Archer puts them on an even playing field. Quote, our professions have always been similar, yours and mine. I can't tell which is worse. training us for the bedroom or the battlefield. And we've made that connection in book one and was like, oh my God, me too. Us too. Archer, like we did it. We've said before that it was Celaena who said that they are very similar in what they are expected to do and how young they are trained. But I think that him being the one to say this is starting the connection. It is starting to be like, no, we're both even and equal. And at that point, she has them cheering. She's the one who does the cheers. And she says, to our esteemed owners. At this point, she's free of Erebin. She still has the king. And even though he doesn't know that she's been sent to kill him, he knows Nehemia knows about her. And he knows that she works for the king. So there's a lot of things happening. Like he may not, he knows enough to not be like, this is just a friendly visit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. That's right. And he's still attracted to her.
Mm-hmm.
So to echo Jac's point, in Throne of Glass, early on, sword play or fighting is equivalent to dancing. Celaena makes that connection. So does Chaol. This conversation is also a dance because, again, their different fields are very, very similar. Quote, this was all a dance, a prelude to what would come later. And by that, she means all the flirting. Nevertheless, though Archer has tried to establish that they're on the same playing field, he also tries to exert some power. When Celaena says she thought he found her charming, he says, quote, in the way a mountain cat's cub is charming, I suppose. It's a little condescending, and once again, Celaena is being compared to an animal, albeit a feral cub rather than a dog. Throughout the evening, quote, he'd kept looking at her like she was his prey, and this was one long hunt. Now, if we consider the fact that Celaena's a virgin and maybe Archer also assumed she's a virgin, like it makes sense. He is a little predatory right now. He is also the one with more experience. So he automatically, this is his realm. The power dynamics are such that he is going to overpower Celaena and her limited experience. It's not until she flips the script on him that she will regain her power.
Even if he does assume that she's had sex, it will never be as much as he has.
Right, exactly. It is what he does for a living.
Yeah, like he has been at this, I mean, so I'm about to get into Archer's tragic backstory. He has been trained for this from the get-go. Quote, if she recalled correctly, he'd been 12 when Clarice had discovered him as an orphan running wild in the capital streets and invited him to train with her. And when he turned 17 and had the bidding party for his virginity, there had been rumors of actual brawls breaking out among would-be patronesses. A 12-year-old, a child, was selected for his potential and sexuality. Was training from the age of 12, whatever training might be, whatever, we can only guess how old he was when he was quote unquote put to work. And then all of that is to be, for him to have had his virginity sold at 17. So it's shitty. It's all around shitty. He's sexualized. He was a child. I do respect that there's like that gender reversal thing happening and that we're getting, a man who's being sold and everything. I can get that. And I know that women can be horrible too, but to be like, there was a brawl amongst the patronesses. You're telling me there wouldn't be men who'd be the ones who'd be fighting for his virginity?
100%. That was a different bidding situation.
Yeah.
They had two bids.
Yeah. One for the women, one for the men.
Exactly. Because it becomes very clear to us that he also has male clients.
Yeah.
So absolutely men and women were taking advantage of him.
Because it's YA, SJM couldn't like really put that there. I think that if you wanted to add not that there's anything wrong with gay with gay men or anything like that, obviously, but I'm not talking about gay men. I'm talking about men who are predators, who are targeting young children, young boys, young children, essentially. And I think that would be a far more tragic, compelling story to tell versus, and a bunch of ladies fought over him, Yeah. Celaena recognizes, though, just how different their battle is and how dangerous sex is, because he is laying it on thick, Quote, the sound of his voice was enough to make her skin heat, but the look in his eyes as he said it, the curve of that divine mouth, he was a weapon too. A beautiful, deadly weapon. Sex is a weapon, and he is sex.
He is. She tries to disarm him because she's kind of getting uncomfortable. She doesn't like not being in control. And she tells him, quote, it's going to take more than a few sultry glances to make me your willing slave, Archer. You should know better than to try the tricks of your trade on me. It's another sign Celaena has no intent of being owned by a man right now. She thinks of sex with Archer as becoming his slave.
Yeah.
It's also ironic because she's about to use the tricks of her trade on him. So there is this nice flipping the tables, turning tables on him.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet.
But it's an even playing field, right? Like both of them are trying to manipulate the others. And, even through all this, Archer is still going to proposition her. And it's kind of heartbreaking. I mean, not then kind of, is extremely heartbreaking. And so he's like, hey, do you want to come up? And Celaena says, quote, don't you want a night off? This is not what she expected. And this was not what she wanted. Flirting aside, he lifted his head, but still held her hand, his thumb caressing small circles into her flame-hot skin. It's immensely different when it's my choice, It's sad. It's sad that, when it's his choice and that he doesn't get to execute his choice often, and that there's a lot of issues with free will. And it's similar, with death being free will in this book too, with Nehemia. Later on, Celaena will kill him because she wants to kill him. And it's kind of parallel to he wants to sleep with her because
he wants to sleep with her.
And if she wasn't a virgin and if there wasn't Kale, I'd say do it.
Yeah, why not?
Truly.
So experienced. Even if he's been taught from a young age to provide pleasure, not take pleasure. So
you give it a whirl.
Yeah. Just one time.
He's willing. It reminds me when in my 20s, there was this guy I almost went out with, and he was a porn star. I don't know, not a star, but he was a mattress actress, as they say, a bop. And there was a potential, and I remember someone being like, oh, you're going to get, he's going to know what he's doing. He's going to get off. To which I say, and it's what I said then, and it's kind of what I think now when I hear these, some of these other male porn stars that I will follow, and Girth Master, and they gave all these sex tips and advice for, how to please your women. I have never seen those women come in their videos. Now, I never found this guy's address, links, and I never found him online. But look at the Girth Master. I have seen his videos. I do not see the women come at all.
Porn is not about female pleasure. It's about male pleasure.
It's not. So that's why we come back to Celaena, do it. In another world, you go.
Do it.
Go do it. Chapter 11 starts, and Celaena, the chapter ends in chapter 10 of Celaena being like, hey, I was here to kill you. And then he freaks out, understandably. And now we're in chapter 11, and Celaena tells Archer, hey, bro, you got to calm down. But he's just in the corner with his knife, freaking out. And, quote, a small, wretched part of her was fairly smug at the sight of him cowering. They were in his world, which was full of sex, full of innuendos, but now they're in her world, and she's in charge, and it's filled with violence and death.
When Celaena tells Archer that the king thinks Archer's part of a rebel group, quote, a harsh, barked laugh, so raw that none of the smooth, lovely man was even recognizable in the sound. It's just a lovely moment where we see Archer degraded from this beautiful human to basically a cornered animal. Celaena both relishes it, but by the end of the conversation will also think, wow, this is so not attractive.
I know. Very quickly. Meanwhile, you got manly man Kale back home, who, after she told him about Keltane, he goes and gets his knuckles bloodied and roughs some shit up.
Yeah.
He's not perfect. He's probably got a broken nose. It's hot.
Yeah.
Archer tells Celaena a little bit about the rebels. Quote, I've only heard my clients whispering about it every now and then, but there's a group that's formed right here in Rifthold, and they want to put Aelin Galathynius back on Terrason's throne. Her heart stopped beating. Aelin Galathynius, the lost heir of Terrason. Aelin Galathynius is dead, she breathed. I mean, not only is it SJM teasing us a little bit more, but I just really love the contradiction of Aelin is dead, She breathed. The irony is that she's claiming Aelin's dead while she's breathing, saying that she's dead.
Yeah. And, in this moment, it's very much like, look what you made me do. The old Aelin can't come to the phone right now.
Why?
Because she's dead.
And she's trying to keep it that way, but no one lets her.
She wants to keep it that way.
Let us all celebrate Taylor owning her own masters, and I can listen to Reputation guilt-free.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Give me those Volt tracks.
Yeah, seriously.
Celaena is trying to function and make choices on only a quarter of the information that's given to her, which is so freaking unfair. Because at this point, we know Archer and Nehemia are working together. And she's only working with a fraction of info here. So Celaena thinks, quote, was it mere coincidence that Nehemia had mentioned Terrason's court that morning, that Terrason was the one force capable of standing against the king if it could get to its feet again, with or without the true heir? But Nehemia had sworn to never lie to her. If she'd known anything, she would have said it. Nehemia is so fucking messy, and I hate that SJM made her the only POC character. Not just because she kills her off, but because I think that, I genuinely don't like Nehemia. And this is so manipulative, and it's the kind of shit where I'm like, you know what? I feel like you think you're too hard on yourself with her death. I think you really could have thrived without her, Celaena.
Yeah, I think Nehemia was problematic.
Extremely.
And that's not Nehemia's fault. That is SJM's fault.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
I'm not mad at Nehemia. I'm mad at SJM. There is so much that Nehemia is hiding from Celaena that it impacts her everywhere, even romantically. Even her relationship with Kale is going to come apart because of Nehemia. And it makes me sad. I don't like you, Nehemia.
Which means I don't like you, SJM. It's also another instance like when Celaena was thinking of the king and the evil power that he could unleash with word marks. Celaena is within grasp of the truth. She can reason this stuff out, and then she just lets it go. And I understand it's because we need the whole story. However, Celaena, have a little bit of more confidence in your skills of deduction and stop making assumptions.
I don't know. Maybe. It's the way that if you had said anything, I do not question it. You tell me whatever, there is not a single brain cell that will have put an effort of thought. You tell me something, I'll believe you.
Yeah.
So, but I've got 15 years of friendship. Celaena's got 4 months.
Yeah, yep, agreed.
What was it? We were driving, and I think you were like, honk. And you were just saying honk about someone else, and I thought you were telling me to honk. I don't even say anything. I just start honking. And you're like, no, not you, honk. I'm like, I was just doing what you told me to. You said honk, I honked. As Celaena is ready to leave, she's got to give him a little bit more threats. She's like, hey, I'm going to fucking kill you. And Archer, kind of reverses it and hurts her. Quote, don't make me look a fool, Archer. You're Arobyn's protege. And then he's like, I would never make a fool of you. You're Arobyn's protege. It has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with you're scary, you're a capable woman assassin. It has everything to do with this man owned you.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you brought this up, because it reminds me that when Celaena first ran into Archer, one of the first things he asks her is, does Arobyn know you are out of Endovir? In Archer's mind, there is no Celaena without Arobyn. Celaena only exists because of Arobyn. Therefore, Arobyn is her keeper, and it's disgusting.
I mean, he doesn't understand because he is not free.
Right.
He can't register that.
That's true.
If they're supposed to be even and similar, and they both had to go through, same traumatic childhoods, then how can she be free? He's not free.
Right. That's a good point. There's also this, the mirror moment, the parallel moment that we kind of alluded to earlier. While Archer was once using his smolder smize during dinner to flirt with Celaena, quote, leaned forward, letting a bit of that wicked darkness shine through her eyes. So, controversial, not controversial claim. Archer and Celaena are mirrors of each other, especially in this moment. But I also think that when she kills him, she is killing Celaena Sardothien. for the last time.
You're spot on, because then we get her true identity, Aelin. I agree. I mean, Archer represents so much, right? He represents the old way of life. He represents people knowing Sam, people who liked her. We have the comparison. So I love that a lot. If they are mirrors, then what does it mean when she kills him in the end? I love it. Celaena goes to visit Chaol in his room, and when he opens up to her, he tells her just how worried he is about her, because, you know, she shows up and she's in her hot little dress. He's like, I thought you weren't going to be out there fucking. And then she's like, oh, don't be a bitch. Don't be such an ass. Anyway, so he's like, I worry about you, quote, but I worry because I care. God's help me. I know I shouldn't, but I do. So I will always tell you to be careful, because I will always care what happens. Oh, you know, like that shouldn't bare minimum, but I love it. Most of those surrounding her are expecting from her, right? Elena, Nehemia, even Dorian, they all have expectations of her. Chaol does not expect anything of her. He only worries about her.
Which does make him better than the rest. What I will say about this moment, though, Celaena has been really annoyed with the fact for a while that Chaol is always like, be careful, be careful, be careful. I want to come with you. I want to escort you, yada, yada, yada. She doesn't detect this as genuine care at first.
Yeah.
It's a nag. It's patronizing. Now, on one hand, her perceptions are warped because she's probably never had a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And honestly, Chaol probably hasn't either. That being said, if she is unable to see genuine care for what it is, and she sees friends where there are manipulators, is Celaena really open and available for love?
It's almost like we asked our listeners about that.
It's almost like we asked our listeners. My theory, she just wants to belong. She just wants someone to like her. Because I think not a lot of people like her.
Yes, but I think Chaol could have been it.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I just don't think this timing was the right timing.
Yeah, I agree. All right, time for some breadcrumbs and broomsticks.
Starting with breadcrumbs, in chapter 6, when Celaena goes to Elena's tomb and looks at Damaris, she sees that it has, quote, a pommel in the shape of an eye. Some legends claimed that when Gavin wielded Damaris, he would see only truth. The function of how the truth is seen is through the pommel that's in the shape of the eye, is obviously being laid out. I like it. It's clever.
Yeah. In chapter 7, when Celaena runs into Archer and Archer sees Chaol, Celaena wonders, quote, was it suspicion or fear in his eyes? And was it merely because she worked for a tyrant that the world feared, or because he'd actually turned rebel and he had something to hide? Yes, Celaena. you get it. Yes, you had it right. You had it right.
And then you let it go.
Yep.
In chapter 8, Celaena tells Dorian, quote, so don't expect me to care when you find yourself nothing more than a puppet if you aren't one already. He will become a puppet.
Very sad puppet.
I'm very sorry.
In chapter 9, when Celaena visits Kaltain in the dungeon, Kaltain says to Celaena, quote, they encourage the crows to fly past here, and my headaches are worse every day. Worse and full of all those flapping wings. We know from Throne of Glass what this means, and that there is evil afoot, and only Kaltain can sense it.
Kaltain. Kaltain tells Celaena that, quote, sometimes I think they brought me here, not to marry Parrington, but for another purpose. They want to use me. This is a spoiler for, I think, Queen of Shadows.
Is really the key in her body?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not yet, but it will be.
That's exciting. There's just so much that happens in this series.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a TikTok the other day, and it's like when Dorian was a girl and saw Manon. And I was like, Dorian was a girl?
What?
I have no memory of that.
Too funny.
So we asked our listeners for this broomstick section, is Celaena truly ready for love? I believe the answer we got was no, definitely not. No, absolutely not. No, the fuck no, absolutely not. Now, before we go read some more in-depth ones, I think the overwhelming consensus is no.
I don't know why I thought some people would be like, yes, she is.
I was like, I'll defend it. I don't know if I believe it. All right, I'm going to open up Instagram because there were some people who sent it on Instagram.
DMs
where it's like, I have to pull it up.
So Aaron says, no, I don't think she truly can be until she is open to her true self. Someone said, abso-fucking-lutely not.
Sage says, definitely not at the beginning. She's still figuring out how to exist within the realm of Cale and Dorian, and it often feels like she's trying to test the waters to see if she's ready. But I feel like she's doing for most of the book is just that. It really isn't until the end of the book when she lets go of Cale that she understands she can love someone else, but she has to be fully transparent about who she is for that to happen, which obviously helps her in Heir of Fire.
Yep, a lot of other listeners are also saying that she has to be honest with herself and truly open up and be who she is, maybe process some trauma before she can truly be capable and open to love. And others are saying she needs to hit rock bottom first.
Hold on, there was another one. I was just letting the person know that I did in fact see. Oh, there was another person who responded. Someone said something about like she can't because she's still in love with Sam. I disagree. Oh, I do believe she's in love with Cale, but not the same as Sam and Rowan. I don't know. I don't think that Celaena was as in love with Sam as she was with Cale. And definitely not Rowan, obviously. But
right.
I just want to throw that there.
One of our listeners, Marie, says she believes she is open to love, but she is not ready for Cale. She's emotionally unavailable, which is why she says he's her enemy the second something hard happens.
Yeah. I mean, look, we talk about before in other books of can consent happen if you don't know someone's identity, if you withhold truth.
Exactly.
And I hadn't even thought about that, like when it comes to when they finally have sex, where it's like, can Cale have given consent to that? Because when she tells Cale her identity and all she does is give him dates, she tells him, I want you to know it wouldn't have changed anything. I think she says something like, I would still pick you. I think that's her knowing that if he knew she was a queen, he would just be like, well, I'm not worthy.
Right.
And I think part of withholding that information is also withholding people potentially not being honest, like, turning her away.
Right. I mean, if we really look at it, especially like with Dorian and even with Sam, when you read Assassin's Blade, she just doesn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
And so being with Cale is not being alone. And one of our listeners, Ashley, says her relationship with Cale felt very high school / first love. And oftentimes those first loves are just, this is what people do.
Yeah.
Right? This is not that it's not disingenuous necessarily. It's just she is withholding because she doesn't want to be turned down. She fears the rejection that comes with being known for who she is.
And it sucks because I think Cale could have been it. I mean, and mainly because at this point, SJM hadn't been for sure about Rowan being her mate and everything. Like, we know that ends up being a change that she makes. And I think that we can see that here in my belief and how Crown of Midnight is written is that at no point is this a Cale issue. Right? At no point is this she doesn't love him. It's more of like she can't enter that full love until she's honest, loves herself, heals. But it has nothing to do with him.
Right. Exactly. And that is why it's so easy for her to push him away and condemn him, because she's not willing to do that self-reflection.
Yeah. Someone says, def not, it took Nehemia dying for her to show herself that she was capable of feeling raw emotions. I don't know.
The text will have to show us that.
Yeah, I think she's feeling raw emotions. I think the problem is she knows that she's capable of feeling raw emotions. I think that's the problem, is that she absolutely knows that she's capable of feeling raw emotions. She would rather not. Okay, so shall we go? Do you have a question to ask me, I believe?
I do.
Oh my God.
Which expectations placed on our characters are new and which have been carried over from the previous book?
So a lot of this is what people think the characters have their expectations internally of what they think versus what's placed upon them. I think with Dorian, expectations on him to be better is now there. And I think that comes from Celaena. Celaena is the only one to have challenged Dorian and to expect him to be better. So you have something that's carried on from book 1 to 2, where finally you have one person, because Cale and his father do not challenge him, but you have one person who does challenge him. So you have something like that does a really great job of carrying from book 1 to 2. Then you have things like Celaena and the expectations from Elena, expectations from Nehemia. Those are expectations that are new. I mean, you could argue they are not new. They all started from book 1, but those are the big ones in this book. And I think SJM does a really good job of, because what are expectations if not themes and threads in a plot? So what... Why'd you laugh?
No, it's a great point. I laugh because it triggered something in my brain.
Okay. That is smart. Why'd you laugh?
No, it was smart.
Yeah. So she, those are what, so what I'm saying is that SJM has done a great job of carrying these themes, these expectations, these plot points over and growing new ones.
Yeah, and I think to me it feels like layering, right? Especially with Dorian. He ends the book, the Throne of Glass book, being like, I don't have power, and I don't think I like that. And then it gets layered on by Celaena in Crown of Midnight saying, you don't have power, you could have power, do something about it, bitch. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think we're just seeing the crumbs of what was started in Throne of Glass layering on top of each other and building momentum that's going to drive everyone into Heir of Fire. So I think SJM does a really, really good job. It feels coherent. It feels consistent to these characters. It is both new and not new.
Yeah, but even the ones that are new, because it's not new, it feels new, but it feels familiar new.
Exactly. That was what I was trying to say. Yes.
Okay. And on that note, I think we've talked enough. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. Next week, we'll be exploring chapters 12 through 16 of Crown of Midnight.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive episode.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye. We've gotten so good at the buys.
Yay!
Okay, so I got this thing called Protein 2.0. Literally the least original name or clever name I've ever heard. But this is, were you there when Quaker was telling us about it? It's kind of like a Gatorade, but has 15 grams of protein.
Yes.
And it has electrolytes and vitamins. All right,
yes.
Let's give it. This is not sponsored. It tastes aggressively artificial, but like, I don't care.
Yeah. As long as you don't care.
I like it.
Well, that's good.
It tastes like a Capri Sun.
Oh.
That's the kind of like level of artificial. Yeah.
Yeah.